There. Was it that one? Or was it that one? It was that one. Yeah, there we go.
So it's now 22:33. And it's still the 30th. 30th December 2013. And again I sit here at my computer, in front of my computer, being able to record what's on my mind. And something I wanted to refer to was how I am perceived by others. And I think this often refers to how I am disliked by others. And I'm sort of coming up with a bit of a theory to this. Sat downstairs smoking a cigarette. It's along the lines of the clarity comes in. Now, let's take this element of El Centro, for instance. El Centro here in KK. El Centro is a restaurant and a bar, and it's a very good restaurant and bar. It's a good place to be, and there's also normally a very positive vibe in there. There are people that you meet once, and they're on their journeys, they're on their travels, they're having an experience in this third dimensional reality. And some of these people have interesting stories, some of these people are open-minded, some of these people are different, they come from different backgrounds and cultures, colours and creeds. It takes all sorts for the world to go round. And then there's me, there's Jigger sat in the middle of all that, a bit like the nutshell in Bury St Edmunds. Sometimes I used to be stood at the end of the bar, minding my own business, and I watched the world go by. And then I'm greeted, I talk with another entity, another human being. Sometimes groupings of human beings. Most of the time I used to be able to get on with and talk with. And sometimes there was negativity from people. And so referring back to El Centro, we find ourselves in a false paradigm in some ways. Through the influence of someone I spent time with, I was introduced to El Centro. And I then put myself in, due to I want to work in conjunction with this other that I was in a relationship with. I wanted to be able to experience and explore. I wanted to be able to experience her world as well. And thus I find myself in El Centro. The problem we have with El Centro is it's predominantly white orientated. It's Westerners that basically frequent this location. Now that shouldn't be anything negative as such. The fact is I'm a Westerner. Though I don't look like one, I am in fact classified as a British citizen, even though I have an ethnic background, Indian Pakistani mix, and whatever the hell they haven't told me. But maybe one day I'll find out. But I am the individual I am. And is often the case, and what is often shown is how different I actually am to the majority. And this is often the reason why I am, at the best of times, looked with suspicion at. And I think that has something to do with the way I think and I am. I've explored many areas of the natural matrix, third dimensional reality, and I've punched through a lot of non-realities, from being a kid and dumb and stupid, or possibly, I would say dumb and stupid, and naive. I've lasted somehow 38 years by normal time, space, related back to Earth level. 38 years I've spent roaming this planet and having learned and had these experiences, and it's brought me to this point now, this very point where I speak to you here now. And what we see is these experiences I've had have been very different to the majority of people who experience life, even within my age group. I chose to look behind the scenes. Now, the way I put it across is there is Disneyland, and Disneyland can be absolutely fantastic. And I'll give you, for instance, one of my favourite little rides when you go to places like something like this is you do the jungle trip where you sit on a thing that looks like a Jeep or a Land Rover, and you pretend to drive it, and it's all full size, and it's like it gets pulled along and the wheels go round even. Probably back in the day, probably can't do that anymore now. But I used to drive this Jeep and think to yourself, wow, I'm actually in a jungle somewhere, and there's a huge anaconda coming out of the tree at me, going tss, 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 and you got the animatronics going in there and all that sort of business. But you use the mind to look into it and make it real for yourself. You make it real. But realistically, what you've got is a bunch of pumps and electricity, and behind the scenes, you have the jungle path that you're driving on in this Jeep, pretending that you're driving through this jungle. But actually, what's in front of you isn't real. It's an illusion. It's all an illusion. And behind the illusion is what makes the illusion work. Now, as a kid, I was different then too. Because not only did I enjoy the fantasy of being able to drive through a jungle in a Jeep and have snakes and things come out at you, I mean, crikey, there was probably a hippo somewhere or something like that, and you go through water. What would it be like to drive a Jeep through water? I wonder how they pulled that one off. So there I am having this fantasy, but at the same time I was always highly intrigued with, well, how does that friggin' anaconda come out of the snake at me? I mean, I know it's crap and I know it's not real, and there's moving parts in there. How does it work? And who made that? Who thought that up? And I always wanted to see behind the scenes. As much as I want to indulge with that reality that I made for myself, I wanted to see what made that reality behind the scenes. And what I've done is, in 38 years, I've, over time, broken through a lot of these non-realities. Because realistically, nothing is real. It's not real. It's just as real as we make it up to this point. So for 38 years, everything is as real as it is for me now. And possibly 38 years down the road, I will have broken even more fantasies and realities and paradigms and non-realities and this, that and the other. And hopefully got a little bit closer to what it really is all about. But I'm at the stage where I'm at now. However, in 38 years, the experiences that I've had and my thought process has been different to, say, the majority of people that were born at the same time as me and have engaged with this amount of life. Because what I've done is I've gone and I've viewed life from, how do I say, from playing by the rules that were set out by society. So I grow up as a kid, and I'm disliked as a kid and pushed aside from society. I go to school, and I'm pushed away from society and not liked. I'm different. Now, it could just be because of my colour and I lived in a white society and it was Maggie Thatcher's Britain. Or it could be because of the energy I am that was disliked. It could be a combination of things. It could be any number of things. It could be my light source. It could be my very spirit, my soul. People didn't like. It could be that actually maybe I was born to a positive vibration rather than a negative vibration. But over time, and these experiences had over this 30 plus years of existence within the third dimension, and this reality, this matrix that's put in front of us, it's affected me. And what I've had to do is had to go through all these many experiences, both positive and negative, and use elements that has been talked about before, such as finding the balance and acceptance. Acceptance aids you in finding balance, it's my belief. And looking oneself in the mirror and observing and taking in and going through pain and discomfort and emotions and learning about oneself. And because of this, I've punched through these non-realities. I go to school and I'm not like there. I leave school, I join the military and I'm not like there. And but then I break all boundaries. At school I used to question the teachers. I used to turn around and say, well, why was that? Why do I need to sit up when you tell me to sit up? Why should I just bow down to what you're telling me? That doesn't make any sense to me anyway. There's something more to this. I just didn't know it at that time. I knew it, but I just didn't know it. And then I joined the military, and I'm like, well, yeah, this is okay. Well, yeah, no, actually, this is actually all built on bullshit and garnish, isn't it, realistically? Yeah, that's what happened to me in the military. You know, I saw through the veil. And it seems that all these stages in my life, I end up seeing through the veil. I see through the holes there are. I end up working out what's really making it in the first place. So I'm going down that jungle lane, and there I am in the military, and I'm going down this jungle lane, driving this Jeep of mine. It's now real, and I'm driving in a real jungle, but still a falsity. It's still a falsity. The reality that I find myself in is still a falsity. You know, and I wanted to know, well, what made that? Why was that? And so I left the military, and then I go into the private sector, and I go and explore life, and I have experiences that are far beyond anything I'd have in the military, far exceed that. I work on a dark scale, but there's always that light inside me. There's always that essence that says, hey, something's wrong here, Jigger. Something's wrong here. You need to try and balance this out. And I go through life, and I've had these experiences, and I far surpassed the military. I passed another element of governmental work, and I just see through all these falsities. And I find myself alone on a planet. And it becomes clear to me, because I've confirmed. And there's so much information now, and I'm gaining this information, and the universe is giving me this information, and it's confirming everything that I already knew, which was none of this actually is real. It's only as real as I make it. If I interact with it, if I allow my thought process, yeah, to make it real, realistically. But realistically, it's not real. So nothing is real. There is no reality. There is just energy. But somewhere along the line I'm locked into this third dimensional reality. But at the same time, I've also had a capacity to be able to, since I was a kid, since I can think, explore a lot more through dreams. I used to be able to control dreams. I used to be able to interact with the earth and entities. I really believe that actually maybe now I realise that I've always been taught to. Away from human beings, there has been something that's spoken to me and taught to me. And yeah, crikey. Okay. Well, maybe we'll bookmark that one and we'll come back to that. But what I'm trying to say is that I've seen all these falsities, and the fact that I've lifted the veil over so many of these elements that have existed in this reality for me, and I've seen through them, and I've taken the time to understand them for what they are, the reasons why and for. It gives me knowledge, it gives me peace of mind, it balances me out. More recently, this reality that I had through realizing that I can actually love, and as a human being I can love, just not very well because I screwed it up, because I don't know all the rules, or I didn't know all the rules and regulations. I just took it as, if you care for someone, care for them and they care back for you, but that's not the reality. It should be the reality, but it's not the reality. The reality is that unless you find someone that's really genuinely working in conjunction with you and is the very mirror image of you, the female you is sat in front of the male you, and they become one. They become the yin and yang. They become the positive, the negative. They become everything. They become a one journey. They become a partnership. They become a team, to which is there are no dissimiles. They're not dissimilar from each other. They are just one thinking entity. But unfortunately, we've got all the crap that comes with control of the minds of the third dimensional people within society. And so we're talking about media, we're talking about how our minds have been controlled through religions and bullshit and garnish and all the crap that goes with it, when we just allow the natural mind to work in conjunction with another natural mind in a balanced scale, then we have a balanced universe. And that's the positive, negative, the male or female, white and black element compressing as one, becoming a singularity. It becomes a unity, which is completely possible, but very difficult to do when people are psychologically brainwashed or under demonic possession. Then all these distractions that are used to stop the unity between two souls coming together in a unity that's pure, and balances itself out, because it's balance that's key in order for that unity to work. But we see that there is so many negatives that it becomes almost an impossibility. unless one bows down to the other, and then becomes an imbalance at the same time. But I suppose imbalance is inevitable. Inevitable in this reality because of the control we find ourselves under. But for a person to be able to control themselves, take back control, to do away with what was imprinted and programmed from the very start, to be able to dispel all of that programming, to be able to reprogram the brain again to work with electromagnetic impulses and overcome all the falsity, and then learn and react and live from the natural essence of natural intuition. Natural intuition. Not a toxified intuition, but a natural intuition, which is key in order for the individual to be able to interlink with another individual in a unity and finding that unity. But either individual needs to balance the other element out. And thus we have an infinite number of capabilities because there's an infinite number of ways it can go. How does one really truly find 100% natural communication between a unity of two becoming one? How does one do that when, again, we find ourselves with all this negativity in the world? But if someone can and has a greater capability to be able to interact with so many areas there are within this matrix, yeah, they've gone through life and they've learned lessons, and that gives them a capacity to be able to go into most scenarios and situations with other entities around and being able to pull a positive or a balanced outcome to the majority of their time spent because of their knowledge and experience and their use of their own intuitions, natural intuitions, and also taking into account natural synchromysticism, following the right path and being in the right place at the right time, as it were. What I mean by that is the old saying, the universe has a tendency to unfold the way it should. So we could put that down to destiny. That had to happen in order for that to continue on and blah 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 blah. But then again, you've got a human being's free will. Now we say free because it should be, on a natural scale, it should be natural free will working in conjunction with synchromysticism. And we should have natural flow of the bow of a boat passing through the water but not breaking the water. But often what we see is we don't have that. We have these negative vibrations and distractions that are used against mankind, stopping the average individual from being able to, one, gain a full understanding of themselves, a full understanding of others, a full understanding of the universe. You know, in order for them to be able to interact and just live and be in the knowledge that they should be thankful that it rains, you know. They should be thankful that there's thunder and lightning, and that there are plants and animals, and there is sunlight and there is darkness at the same time. On an earth that, yeah, it's just incredible. Incredible. I mean, the life we live is just absolutely fantastic. It's so diverse, it's so colourful, it's so much to do, there's so much to learn. And then some would say, well, there's the element of time. Well, you haven't got enough time to do that. If only I had more time. Well, time is irrelevant. Realistically, time is an illusion. Lunchtime, doubly so. You know, time is what you give it. Time is not necessarily linear. It's an ongoing element. I pass away. We talk about time as time runs out because what comes is the inevitability of death. So why not just accept death and turn around and say, well, while I'm here, engaging with this reality, why not push all my senses to the max they can be through taste and sound and touch and smell? But also, you know, we've got everything else as well. We've got the mind. We've got to expand the mind, and that gives us a capability of maybe even indulging even more, whilst we here in this third dimension, utilising these senses that we have, which is all an illusion anyway. But it's not a bad illusion necessarily. It can be extremely, it can be hell on earth. What is it? Immortal Technique turns around and says hell is not a place you go. Hell is not achieving what it is you're supposed to be achieving. And that's often due to distraction. We've got football, we've got car racing, we've got crap TV, we've got everything taking us away. Oh, we've got relations to it, males and females, and they're bringing up kids and bringing them up for their energy to be vampirized by some entity, some sick entity that wants to take advantage of another. We've got all this crap going on. And what we're not doing is taking a breath in and breathing out and working in conjunction and combination with the actual universe itself. The universe will tell you where it needs you to be. You know, utilize that intuition and feel it, and don't allow external brainwashing and the need to be able to fit into a toxic society is often the case. Toxified society, toxified reality even. If you know inherently, deep down inside you, what it is that you want, what you feel is truly what is right, what is the light. And I'm not talking about a confused element here. I'm talking about with a balanced mind, one can really make the decisions that are needed, and also allow the universe to place you where it is that you're meant to be. But you have to be strong to be able to do that. And maybe